Hello, people of the internet. Of all the successful video game companies in existence, it's hard to dispute that Nintendo is one of the greatest ever. In terms of revenue, it generates the fifth highest income of any video game company. And the two series at the forefront of that insane revenue stream are the classic Mario and Pokemon. So it's no surprise that these two have gotten so much love over the years. Pokemon in particular has received an absolutely staggering amount of monetization. There's games, anime, trading cards, amiibos, plushies, tournaments, spin-offs, and more. There's even a recognized world Pokemon champion. The games have each had their own champions as well, ranging from the monstrous ones like Cynthia and Leon to more tame ones. But one of the most tragic champions is the original one we fight in Gen 1. His name is Gary Oak, and he became the Pokemon champion for about 5 minutes. Literally, his grandfather heard about his achievement, flew to the Pokemon League to congratulate him, and by the time he arrived, his grandson had already been soundly defeated by the player. But should Gary have even been able to accomplish this feat in the first place? Did he even deserve the title of champion? Or did the game just shoehorn him into the champion position for a more satisfying thematic conclusion? I mean, I'm sure I'm not alone in this feeling that Lance is more powerful and dangerous than Gary is. Certainly more so than his Venusaur team, which replaces Exeggutor with Venusaur and Charizard with Arcanine. As a kid, I always knew that once Lance was down, the game was essentially over. Gary always felt more like a victory lap than an actual fight. So is it actually possible for Gary's team, at the level of progression that we find him in throughout the game, to continue the storyline and actually become champion? Well, there's only one way to find out. To make sure this challenge stays on the rails, I have implemented a few rules that I believe make sense, though a couple are a tad bit arbitrary. First off, I'll be using Gary's team, level cap to the next rival battle. Roughly. I'll explain more about that in each individual situation. Secondly, Gary, being the self-assured guy that he is, likely wouldn't leave a gym after entering, so neither will we. Thirdly, anyone who's fought him as champion knows how he loves to spam his healing items, so those are also fair game. Fourth, I won't be showing every individual battle or second of this run, as that would take forever. Instead, I'll be showing notable moments in difficult fights. And yeah, that's about it. So, to begin, we'll name our character Gary. We'll also find a suitable replacement name for the rival, no worries. Afterwards, we'll head out to talk to Mom, who sends us to Oak's lab. But we'll just go in the tall grass instead, prompting Oak to lead us to the first main choice that really sets the tone of the game, the starter. And this here is the first semi-arbitrary choice. Gary always chooses the starter that's super effective on the players. All three are viable choices for him. However, in the anime, Ash's first choice is Squirtle, so we'll be taking Bulbasaur. Strange logic, I know, but we're sticking with it. Bulbasaur it is. With that harrowing choice out of the way, we immediately fight the Faker, taking down Charmander. Afterwards, we head out. The game progresses pretty standardly. We head to Viridian, grab a parcel, deliver it to Oak, and catch our first Mon for Gary's team, Pidgey. When we return to Viridian, we're at the second rival fight. This one is actually an optional fight, but his team consists of his starter and his Pidgey, both of which are level 9. Since he hasn't reached Pewter yet, we can assume that this is his pre-Brock team, not post-Brock. Therefore, our level going into the Brock fight, or at least the gym, should ideally be 9 for each. The gym is a Rock-type gym, which is unfortunate for our Pidgey, who stands little chance. This leaves our starter. At this level, Bulbasaur doesn't have any damaging grass moves, but he luckily learns a move that will carry us through this gym and hopefully the next one as well. Vine Whip. He learns Vine Whip at level 10. So we'll start the battle in the gym with Leech Seed to whittle down Geodude's health to the point where it faints. This knockout is enough for a level up, giving us Vine Whip. Vine Whip one-shots the upcoming Sandshrew, and just like that, we're ready for Brock. Due to the starter we chose, Brock is a very easy victory. Vine Whip is able to one-shot Geodude, and immediately afterwards, one-shots Onix as well. Bulbasaur is now level 13, and we have the Boulder Badge. The next rival fight, and therefore our next cap, is at Cerulean City, right before Nugget Bridge. Now, story-wise, you're meant to approach Nugget Bridge after beating the second gym, so we'll consider his team at this point his post-Misty team, meaning that we'll have to beat Misty with our Pokemon finishing her gym at or below his level. For this battle, he has a level 17 Pidgeotto, a level 16 Abra, a level 15 Rattata, and his level 18 starter. His starter is still in his first stage, despite being past level 16. He's a bit of a cheat though, because Pidgey doesn't evolve into Pidgeotto until level 18, so we'll end up with a Pidgey instead. That's alright though, as we can be at or below his strength, and Pidgey is weaker than Pidgeotto. We also can't access Abra until after we pass him, so we'll be missing a team member for this gym. However, since this only makes it more difficult, there's no issue. The real issue here, and I didn't really realize this until attempting this challenge, is just how low-leveled Gary keeps his team. I have to be very careful running through Mount Moon to avoid fighting too many trainers and getting too much XP too early. I actually end up switch training Pokemon a lot just to absorb XP onto other mons. Still, the run through Mount Moon is relatively painless, other than the juggling to prevent my Pokemon from breaking the level cap. It would have been helpful to have caught a Rattata earlier to help prevent this, but I wanted a higher level one, so I waited. Once I'm through Mount Moon, I jump down into the area around Cerulean. This is where I'll catch Rattata. After training him up a bit on wild Pokemon, being careful once more to avoid gaining too much XP on Bulbasaur, I'm ready for Misty's gym. I've had to be especially careful with Bulbasaur's levels because I need his experience gain from the gym to bring him at or below level 18, and he'll be used heavily in Cerulean Gym. Entering the gym, I begin to clear out the trainers. I take out the first one with no issue whatsoever. Both Horsey and Shelder fall to a single hit. Thus, Bulbasaur wins, leveling up. He attempts to evolve, but I just hit the B button to prevent it because Gary's starter isn't evolved yet. The next fight before Misty is against a Goldeen, which takes 3 hits to defeat. I debate using Sleep Powder, but just opt for a straightforward double Vine Whip. Then, as a preventative measure to keep Bulbasaur's XP low, I switch to Pidgey and finish the fight with a Quick Attack. After canceling Bulbasaur's evolution once more, I saved. Now, it's time to fight Misty. Misty is, far and away, the most difficult trainer I've faced thus far. Bulbasaur opens the battle with a Sleep Powder to put Staryu to sleep, though he does take some damage from Water Pulse first. Luckily, he's not confused, and Sleep Powder hits. 2 Vine Whips and Staryu faints. But now comes the difficult part. She sends out Starmie, and I immediately go for Sleep Powder. I take damage from Swift, dealing an uncomfortably large amount of damage. Still, Sleep Powder hits, and I switch to Pidgey to use Sand Attack during her sleep turns. I manage to get off 2 Sand Attacks before Starmie awakes, and finishes Pidgey up. Sending out Rattata, I use the turn to heal up Bulbasaur with a potion before Starmie decides to use Swift, which never misses anyway, so the accuracy drops weren't overly useful. I switch into Bulbasaur when Rattata faints, going for another Sleep Powder. I take damage from Swift once more, but put the Starmie to sleep. Leech Seed lands on the next turn, and then I go for Vine Whip to finish him off. 2 whips and the Leech Seed chip damage brings her HP down to red, as well as healing Bulbasaur. I go for a Tackle to conserve PP. Of course, Misty's not done with us just yet, and uses a Super Potion, but it hardly matters. I just spam Sleep Powder to catch Starmie's Wake Up, putting it to sleep once more, before Vine Whipping to victory. And just like that, I win. Right? Ah, crap. I hit level 19 from the battle. Good thing I saved beforehand. The second attempt goes very similarly, with the change of switching Pidgey in on Staryu to help siphon off experience. I switch into Rattata, getting him taken out to switch safely to Bulbasaur. After finishing Staryu off, Bulbasaur uses Sleep Powder, Leech Seed, and Vine Whip once again to whittle down Starmie's life, keeping his own up in the meantime. The battle ends with a victory and a mere 7 HP on Bulbasaur. This time, when he wins, he doesn't quite hit level 19, keeping him in range for the rival fight. I do have to cancel his evolution one last time, though. After training Rattata up a little more, it's time to take on the rival fight at the bridge. At level 15, Rattata knows Hyper Fang, which is sufficient to take care of my rival Pidgeotto, even getting a flinch in there too. Rattata does his best against the rival's Rattata too, but you can't quite take him down. Pidgey's able to finish Rattata off, but Charmander makes quick work of Pidgey. Bulbasaur decides to show just how overpowered Sleep Powder is by using it once more to put Charmander to sleep and whittle his HP down with Leech Seed. After a short period of time, Charmander faints, and all that's left is the Abra that only knows Teleport. Leech Seed and Vine Whip take him down, and just like that, Rival 3 is complete. Afterwards, I'll finally allow Bulbasaur to evolve into Ivysaur. The next rival fight isn't until the SS Anne, and his team consists of a level 19 Pidgeotto, a level 16 Raticate, a level 18 Kadabra, and a level 20 second stage starter. This means that, until the SS Anne, I have to be extremely careful on how much experience I let my starter gain. I have to see Bill before I can reach the SS Anne, so the trainers on Nugget Bridge, as well as the ones after it but before Bill, are very carefully handled by my Pidgey, who evolves into Pidgeotto, and my Rattata. Whenever possible, I avoid using Ivysaur, and when not possible, I switch others in to mitigate his XP gain. Luckily, it's time for a new party member who will hopefully make this process a little bit easier. Abra. Abra is a rare spawn in this grass, and he teleports on his first turn, fleeing the battle. So it takes a little while for me to find and catch one, but eventually I snag a level 10 Abra, and then move on. Whenever I can do so safely, I switch Abra into battle, both to level him up and to take experience away from my other Pokemon. He doesn't learn an attacking move until he evolves into Kadabra, so it's a slow process. Even though I switch into Abra where possible and avoid as many trainers as I can, I'm simply gaining too much experience. So I catch a Pidgey, to be used as an experience sponge. I switch it into combat when I can to take experience away from my damaging Pokemon, allowing them to battle safely. Finally, I reach Bill, deal with his nonsense, and head out. Seriously, who gets turned into a Pokemon anyway? What a weird problem to have. There's only 2 more required trainer battles before the SSN. I deal with both of them using my switch-in experience sponges before finally reaching Vermilion City. Here, I get a bike voucher and an old rod, both of which will be useful soon. Next, I enter the SSN. There is a lot of stuff here, including a lot of trainers, but I ignore it all and run straight to the rival fight. After throwing out his legendary lie about having 40 different kinds of Pokemon, he begins the battle with Pidgeotto. I use Teleport until Abra faints, allowing me to switch in Rattata. Rattata is able to deal a sizable amount of damage using Hyper Fang and Quick Attack, but eventually falls. My Pidgeotto is able to finish his Pidgeotto off with a couple of gusts, and then Raticate comes out. After some back and forth with Pidgeotto, Raticate knocks out my bird, causing Ivysaur to enter. Vine Whip takes him down, and then it's Kadabra's turn. The name of the game is Sleep Powder at this point, as Sleep Powder keeps Kadabra asleep for long periods of time. After a few turns of Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, Kadabra faints, leaving the last Pokemon, Charmeleon, which should be a problem, but once again, just isn't. Sleep Powder and Leech Seed come through for us once again, and after a little finagling and a couple potion uses, Charmeleon loses to the very Pokemon he was picked to defeat. Again. With Rival 4 out of the way, we have a much more lenient level cap. The next fight is in Lavender Town, at Pokemon Tower. His new team varies by starter, but his Bulbasaur team, which is the one I'm building, consists of level 25 Pidgeotto, 23 Gyarados, 22 Growlithe, 20 Kadabra, and 25 Ivysaur. This means that I'll need to catch and train both Magikarp and Growlithe, and toss out Rattata. First though, we head up to Cerulean to get a bike, then come back and get cut from the captain of the SSN before taking on Lieutenant Surge. Surge's gym is trash. No, literally. You have to find hidden switches in the trash. Once you find one, another appears in a random adjacent trash can. If you get it wrong, you have to start over. So I find one, save the game, and then attempt to find the other. This way, if I'm wrong, I can just reload the save and get through this mini-game faster. Luckily, and amazingly, I get it right on my very first try, and then I head over to fight Surge. I do have to deal with a slightly annoying Pikachu first, but he's hardly an issue. The fight with Surge is interesting, to say the least. Voltorb nearly KOs Ivysaur, whom we switch out for Pidgeotto for safety. After Pidgeotto drops Voltorb, we switch to Rattata on Pikachu to heal up Ivysaur. And then once Rattata faints, Ivysaur comes out, and Pikachu uses Double Team. So here we have an issue. Ivysaur has Razor Leaf, Sleep Powder, and Leech Seed as his main moves. None of these have perfect accuracy, so any evasion boost is dangerous. But Ivysaur just straight up ignores his paralysis and his enemy's evasion and hits with Razor Leaf. And then after Raichu appears, it gets even more ridiculous. Double Team doesn't stop Sleep Powder, and even after Surge uses a full heal and Ivysaur is paralyzed, it just doesn't matter. Raichu deals damage and then Double Teams 2 more times before Ivysaur gets another attempt at Sleep Powder, but it hits through 3 Double Teams and paralysis. Not only that, but then Razor Leaf also hits with a crit. And then, when Lieutenant Surge heals, Razor Leaf crits again. Sometimes RNG ruins you, and sometimes it really helps. Either way, Ivysaur is paralyzed, and then misses his attack, but Raichu stays asleep, so he ends the fight with another Razor Leaf. With that improbable victory, the Thunder Badge is ours, and we move on. Afterwards, we catch a Magikarp, head up to Cerulean, and go right. We'll be switch training Magikarp as often as possible now, to get him to evolve and actually be useful to us. Next is Rock Tunnel, which we navigate without using Flash, mindful to keep XP low as we travel. We'll quickly be arriving in Lavender Town, but still, we need to be careful to avoid over-leveling. After making it through Rock Tunnel, we enter Lavender, ignoring the tower for now and heading to Celadon through the underground tunnel. On the way, we'll catch our Growlithe, which takes little time at all. We head to the department store and make some purchases, ending up on the roof with some vending machines. Here we'll stock up on lemonades, soda pops, and fresh waters, then we'll get tea from an old lady and head back to Cerulean City. Invading a nice old man's home, we find a rare candy, which we finally use to finish training Magikarp to level 20, making him evolve into the actually usable Gyarados. After that, it's time to return to Lavender Town, enter Pokemon Tower, and face the rival once more. This fight is easy and straightforward. I start with Gyarados, taking out Pidgeotto with a bite and a few water pulses. Ivysaur and Pidgeotto team up to do decent damage to Gyarados before Pidgeotto faints, leaving Kadabra and his amazing Confusion to finish the fight with an unnecessary crit. Growlithe comes out to deal with Execute, but ends up taking a nap instead and is unable to finish the job. So Gyarados finishes him off, along with the enemy Kadabra and most of Charmeleon, though an unlucky burn takes him out. The fight is neither difficult nor particularly meaningful, and it ends with Kadabra using Confusion on Charmeleon. Just like that, Rival 5 is complete. And for any wondering why we didn't get the Silph Scope first, Gary claims he hasn't seen a Marowak and wonders if they're even still around, so clearly he doesn't have the Silph Scope. The next rival battle is a substantial jump, all the way at Silphco. Here, his Pokemon are a level 37 Pidgeot, 38 Gyarados, 35 Growlithe, 35 Alakazam, and 40 Venusaur. Before that, however, we have Erica's gym. So we had to sell it on department store to purchase some status healing items, and then make our way to the gym. We'll clear out this gym as well. I originally intended this as a training ground for Growlithe, but it's made pretty clear pretty quickly that Growlithe can't handle these Pokemon when he's paralyzed and nearly defeated in the very first battle. So, Pidgeotto and Kadabra take the forefront for this gym, though I do switch Growlithe in for experience whenever I can. After a few fights, I heal Growlithe up and let him have another shot, but yeah. Against this Oddish, he's put to sleep, wasting one of my awakenings. He just can't manage the damage output needed to one-shot, so I switch to Kadabra. Kadabra's Psybeam and Confusion will find no resistance here, and after clearing the rest of the trainers, it's time for Erica herself. The Erica fight begins with Growlithe, who uses Ember to very poor effect. He just doesn't have the level necessary to participate at this gym. After being poisoned, he just goes for bites until Acid finishes him off. Then Kadabra enters the field. Confusion and Psybeam are enough to bring down Erica's first two Pokemon and bring her Vileplume into the red before Kadabra gets paralyzed. A quick switch to Pidgeotto, followed by Gust, is enough to defeat Erica and earn me the Rainbow Badge. Next up, Team Rocket Hideout. Heading into the game corner, I take down a Rocket Grunt, examine a poster, and head down the secret stairway that leads to Team Rocket Hideout. Here, I'll head downstairs, solve some floor panel puzzle, pick up the black glasses and a couple TMs, and then fight a suspicious grunt who wonders aloud where the lift key could be before accidentally dropping it behind him on defeat. I head through the stairway, solve another floor panel puzzle, snag a few items, and take the elevator down to Giovanni's floor. Here, I defeat his two boring doormen before confronting the leader of Team Rocket himself. You'd think Giovanni would have a decent Pokemon, but nah. He's got an Onix, a Rhyhorn, and a Kangaskhan. Onix and Rhyhorn are one-shot by Ivysaur and Razorleaf, but Kangaskhan is another story. So I bring Pidgeotto out and throw some sand in his eyes until his accuracy is at -6. Then, Pidgeotto deals as much little damage as possible before he somehow lands a Mega Punch. Not a big deal though, as Kadabra can come in and finish him off with Psybeam. After the fight, Giovanni drops the Silph Scope, which we take back to Pokemon Tower. The climb up is easy and painless, dodging many trainers along the way. At the top of the tower, we use the Silph Scope to reveal the ghost as Marowak. A couple Razor Leafs from Ivysaur and a Water Pulse from Gyarados finish it off. Due to Team Rocket's odd reliance on mostly poison Pokemon, Kadabra practically walks through the three grunts upstairs before saving Mr. Fuji and receiving the flute. Next up is Silphco. But before that, Mr. Psychic, who lives in a house in Saffron, will give us Psychic, which we immediately teach to Kadabra. Silphco, as anyone who's played the game knows, is absolutely huge. The first step for us is to grab the keycard that allows us to open door. After that, we'll find a rest area on the 9th floor where we can heal Pokemon. Afterwards, we fight all necessary trainers to reach the next rival fight. But then, it's time to confront a pretty key issue. Kadabra is a trait evolution, and I am playing an unmodded emulator. So, I use a save editor to evolve Kadabra into Alakazam. In addition, up to this point, I've raised the Pokemon normally. But now, the only difference personally training them would make is a lot of time spent grinding. The point of the challenge is to see if Gary's Pokemon, at their level caps, can handle the game where he's at. So, I'll do what other challenge runners have done before, and give myself a bunch of rare candies. Now, I won't be using these to jump my levels in between areas, so for example, I won't level my Pokemon up to Rival 7 levels right after beating Rival 6, it just helps to alleviate the grind. Anyways, after boosting my levels to where they should be, it's time to face off against my rival in the 6th encounter. He starts with Pidgeot, and I start with Alakazam. After Calm Mind, Alakazam is able to one-shot Pidgeot and do significant damage to Gyarados before going down. Venusaur finishes him off, and Growlithe handles Execute. He stays in to fight Gary's Alakazam, and due to him only using Future Sight, Growlithe is actually able to win, even through paralysis. Next, Gyarados faces Charizard, and 3 Water Pulses are sufficient to end the battle quite handily. Thus, Rival 6 is complete. I head back to floor 9 to take a quick nap before taking on Giovanni again. He's a little stronger this time around, but he still relies mostly on Poison and Ground type. Alakazam, Pidgeot, and Venusaur make quick work of his first 2 Pokemon, and Kangaskhan takes a critical hit from Razor Leaf. After another Razor Leaf and a cut, he goes down, and Giovanni is defeated once more. I get the Master Ball and leave Silphco. At this point, there's only 2 rival fights left, and both occur after all 8 badges are obtained. The next fight will be at Route 22, before Victory Road, and there, the Bulbasaur team is a level 47 Pidgeot, 45 Rhyhorn, 45 Gyarados, 45 Growlithe, 47 Alakazam, and 53 Venusaur. Plenty of wiggle room. To begin, we get Fly from a little girl and use it to return to Mount Moon, where we get the TM for Thief. I teach it to Pidgeot, and then run around in Abergrass for a long time, picking on the poor defenseless Abrai until one of them gives me an item I like. The Twisted Spoon. This item is not required by any means, but I love having my Alakazam hold one, and it boosts Psychic Power by 20%. With that time-consuming and frankly very annoying mini-adventure out of the way, I head to Saffron to face the next gym leader. This lady, Sabrina, has an annoying gym with teleport paths to warp you between rooms. Still, if you know the path, it's a pretty easy place to walk through pretty quickly. After a bit of walking, I face off against Sabrina. Growlithe tries to bite his way to victory, but it doesn't look promising, and after a Calm Mind from the enemy Kadabra, he goes down in 1 hit. So, instead, Alakazam comes out, and goes for his own Calm Mind setup. After 4 of them, he's able to simply use Psychic to hit Kadabra and finish him off even through Resistance, Special Defense Increase, and Reflect. Not that Reflect actually does anything for special moves, but still. Sounds impressive, right? Anyways, at this level of setup, Psychic one-shots everything, up until her Alakazam, which takes 2 hits, but still it goes down with ease. And just like that, we have the Marsh Badge. Looking at our trainer card reveals that we actually skipped Gym 5 and fought Gym 6 first. Shame. Hardly matters though, as we leave Sabrina's gym and go to face Snorlax with the flute. In hindsight, might have been best to just use a Master Ball here and call it a day, but I decide to try to catch him the old-fashioned way for a while, throwing Pokeballs and Great Balls in massive quantities before deciding it's just not worth it and just knock him out. I enter Cycling Road, riding through it to arrive at Route 18 and Fuchsia City. Time for Koga's gym. After walking through his annoying invisible maze of bullcrap, we face off against Koga. Since he's got seemingly psychic walls in his gym, along with jugglers, you might assume he's a psychic trainer. But no. Poison type. Typical. Still, easy to take down, and Alakazam comes out and psychic sweeps all 4 of his Pokemon. And just like that, we earn the Soul Badge? Okay, seriously. He's got a psychic-looking gym, gives a ghost-sounding badge, and he's a poison trainer? What a weird guy. Anyway, next is the Safari Zone to the north of the gym, where we rush through to find the gold teeth and the secret prize, the HM Poseur. After leaving the Safari, we head in once again to trace down the last member of our team, Rhyhorn. It takes a little bit of time, but we eventually find him and catch him in a Safari Ball, then head down to the Warden's house to return his teeth. He rewards us with Strength, and we teach both Strength and Surf to Gyarados. Now, it's time for Cinnabar. We fly back to Pallet Town and surf south, dodging trainers, and quickly arrive at the scenic island of Cinnabar. This place is strange. It's got a research lab, a mansion, a gym, and a Poke Center, and about 20 square feet of space. Anyways, design aside, this place is home to the 7th gym, but to get in, we'll need the secret key from the mansion. So we run around inside, hitting statue buttons, and snag the key before using an escape rope to return to the surface. We now head into the gym, which is a quiz on Pokemon trivia. Get them right, and you pass through. Get them wrong, and you face a trainer. After clearing the quiz area, we come face to face with Blaine. The strategy with Blaine is basically just send out Gyarados and use Surf endlessly, with intermittent bites to save PP. Rapidash is the only problematic enemy, flinching Gyarados with a Stomp before using Bounce and paralyzing him. I end up having to use a full Restore on him, but afterwards, Surf takes care of Rapidash, and the Arcanine after needs a couple of them, but he goes down too. Thus, we receive the Volcano Badge, which has the added effect of increasing special stats. After leaving, we reject Bill's offer to visit the Sevi Isles, and we fly to the last gym, all the way back in Viridian. After leveling up, it's time to face Giovanni for the last time. We fight through gym trainers and reach Giovanni with relative ease. This guy's a ground-type gym, so both Gyarados and Venusaur should do well here. Giovanni is as pathetic as we remember, getting his first 2 Pokemon easily one-shot by Venusaur. I try to let Rhyhorn in on the fun, but he gets destroyed immediately by Dugtrio, so it's back to the Venusaur Razor Leaf sweep. That is until Nidoqueen lands 3 Earthquakes due to a Razor Leaf miss, and then heals. So instead, I just switch in Alakazam, who tanks an Earthquake before Psychicking both Nidoqueen and Nidoking, taking out both in 1 hit each. With the Earth Badge we just earned from this Team Rocket leader, we now have all 8s, and it's time for us to begin the walk to the lead. Just to the left of Viridian is the path up, but first, it's time for the next rival fight. The Faker, as always, opens with Pidgeot, and I open with Alakazam. After Calm Mind, Alakazam is able to Psychic Sweep his team all the way through Pidgeot, Rhyhorn, Execute, and Gyarados, until finally being stopped by Charizard, who barely manages to take Psychic. Still, from here, Gyarados just takes out Charizard, and Pidgeot and Venusaur work together to take out Alakazam. And with that, there remains only a single rival battle left, the Champion fight. At that point, his Bulbasaur team is level 59 Pidgeot, 57 Alakazam, 59 Rhyhorn, 59 Gyarados, 61 Arcanine, and 63 Venusaur. This is our final level cap for the challenge. Next, we'll head through the batch checks and into Victory Road. Victory Road has always been my least favorite part of this game. It's just pushing boulders around and navigating a cave filled with trainers. And it's just as tedious as I remember. And after moving boulders onto plates with strength and dodging what trainers we can, we exit Victory Road and enter the Indigo Plateau. And then we leave the Indigo Plateau to head to Celadon and pick up a Firestone for Growlithe. We'll return, sell some treasure, buy full restores and revives, and then level up one more time before entering the Elite Four and beginning the final stretch of this challenge. The first member of the Elite Four is Lorelei, who starts with Dewgong. Venusaur is able to dispatch both Dewgong and the follow-up Slowbro without too much issue, but Lapras that comes next uses Ice Beam and knocks him out. Alakazam comes out next, using Calm Mind to set up. Lapras confuses him with Confuse Ray, but luckily he just ignores it, landing a Psychic on Lapras and a Psybeam on the Cloyster after. Next is Jinx, so we'll switch to Arcanine, both to avoid confusion and to have type advantage. Arcanine uses Flame Wheel, critting and nearly winning outright before being put to sleep. Lorelei uses her first full restore, and Arcanine takes his sweet time waking up, getting Ice Punched repeatedly. He wakes and uses 2 Flame Wheels before being put to sleep again, and then proceeds to sleep his life away, taking 3 more Ice Punches and fainting to a crit. It's no big deal though, as Pidgeot's Quick Attack finishes the fight in less than optimal condition, considering this is only the first fight. We'll revive and heal our Pokemon before stepping into the next room to fight Elite Four member 2, Bruno. Bruno is not that great, unfortunately. Alakazam comes out and is able to just get a Calm Mind on Onix, and Onix misses his attack. After that, he doesn't even need Psychic. He just uses Psybeam to sweep Bruno's entire team effortlessly. Alakazam truly is just an incredible Pokemon. So after that absolute cakewalk, it's time to face off against Agatha. Agatha opens with Gengar against my Gyarados. Gengar confuses Gyarados, and then begins setting up double teams to become unhittable. After Gyarados finally stops hitting himself and lands a couple attacks, it becomes clear that Gengar's evasion is gonna be an issue. So I switch into Pidgeot, hoping he'll use a Ghost move. He doesn't, and Pidgeot catches a Toxic. Still, Pidgeot uses Wing Attack repeatedly to damage Gengar. Gengar uses a full restore, as well as a Confuse Ray and double team. Pidgeot cannot seem to stop hitting itself in confusion, and I end up having to use a full restore of my own just to keep my bird in the game. However, Pidgeot also doesn't miss a single attack, taking Gengar down. I switch into Alakazam, who is able to use Psybeam to one-shot both Golbat and Arbok before getting outsped and KO'd by the second Gengar's Shadow Ball. Out comes Venusaur, using Leech Seed before being put to sleep and then into a Nightmare. Venusaur, even with Leech Seed healing, can't withstand the Sludge Bombs and the Nightmare, and he gets eventually KO'd. Pidgeot comes out next, and through a tough and very back-and-forth fight with Gengar, manages to eke out a victory with a crit, switching out before Toxic can finish him off. Rhydon comes out, defeating Agatha's Haunter with Rock Blast, though Haunter did help quite a bit by using Curse first. Now, after using some status healers, 3 rare candies, and some health restoration items, it's time for the most difficult fight of the challenge, Lance, the Dragon Trainer. Lance starts the battle with Gyarados. I send out Venusaur and put him to sleep with Sleep Powder, followed by Leech Seed. Afterwards, I switch into Pidgeot, using Gyarados' sleep turns to deal damage with Wing Attack. He sleeps for a long time, and when he awakens, uses Hyper Beam immediately. It's not enough to finish off Pidgeot though, and a Quick Attack brings him down. Lance sends out Aerodactyl, so I pivot to Alakazam, attempting to get a Calm Mind. However, Aerodactyl just takes him down in 2 hits before he can attack, using Ancient Power. Luckily, he doesn't get stat boosts from Ancient Power, but being down Alakazam is a huge inconvenience. Now, it's Gyarados' time to shine, hopefully to bring this back. 2 Surfs manages to take down Aerodactyl, but Gyarados takes massive damage in return. A Hyper Potion heals him up against Dragonair, but allows for Outrage, which hits twice before causing confusion. Gyarados has been doing decent damage, but now he gets hit with Thunder Wave, paralyzing him. After missing out on a turn and getting Hyper Beamed, he's in dire condition, requiring a full restore. Dragonair recharges, and Gyarados finishes it off with a Strength. Standing his ground against the next Dragonair, Gyarados uses Strength, then Twister. This order is important because it keeps Dragonair's health above potion range. Afterwards, 1 more Strength takes it down, and it's time for the big threat, Dragonite. Switching into Venusaur, I hit Dragonite with Sleep Powder, putting him to sleep, followed by Leech Seed and Razor Leaf. I heal up Gyarados, and Dragonite wakes up, using Wing Attack. Venusaur survives and uses Sleep Powder again. This time, I use the turns to switch into Gyarados, using Strength to try to secure a victory. The Citrus Berry stops it from working, and the next turn, Lance uses a full restore. But Gyarados just keeps using Strength, and that, along with Leech Seed and Dragonite's questionable use of Safeguard, allows Gyarados to knock it out with a crit, thus defeating Lance. And technically, right here and now, we've finished the challenge. Lance is defeated, Gary's team succeeded in making it this far, albeit with a human pilot instead of the poor AI the trainers have. But, you know, it's not over until this team becomes the champion. So, we'll heal up damage from Lance with the last of our revives, and we'll head into the final fight against the Faker. Faker's team isn't terrible, particularly his Charmander team, which he's currently using. Still, it's not as strong, in my opinion, as Lance's. I send out Venusaur against Pidgeot, using Sleep Powder before switching into Alakazam. Alakazam uses Calm Mind before having his accuracy lowered, but he doesn't mind, using Psychic to finish off Pidgeot and Gyarados on his own. Charizard comes out after, taking down Alakazam with a flashy Fire Blast. I send out Rhydon, hoping that he could be useful for once. He misses his Rock Blast, taking 2 Fire Blasts to the face before managing to hit his second Rock Blast, which, being quadruple effective, takes Charizard down handily. I switch to Gyarados next, using Surf to take down his Rhydon, before Gyarados and Alakazam get into a heated back and forth. Using Strength and Surf, Gyarados does constant damage to Alakazam, but Alakazam uses Reflect and Psychic to great effect, keeping itself alive. Both Faker and I use healing items repeatedly as these two exchange hits one after another, seemingly locked in a stalemate. After getting fed up with this, I switch in Arcanine, using Flame Wheel and burning him. Faker uses yet another full restore, but this time I use Extreme Speed. It hits like a truck, taking out half of Alakazam's life in a single hit. A second one in the next turn finishes him off, leaving only Executor between me and the championship. Flame Wheel takes Executor down to half before Arcanine goes down. Pidgeot comes out, going for Wing Attack. It doesn't finish him though, and Sleep Powder puts him to sleep. I use an Awakening, and Faker uses a full restore. Another Wing Attack, and Faker puts me to sleep again. Seriously, who would abuse Sleep Powder like this? So unprofessional. I would never do that. Anyways, after another Awakening, all it takes is 2 more Wing Attacks and Executor Feint, thus ending the championship and Pokemon career of Faker, making room for the true champion, Gary Oak. Professor Oak comes in afterwards to congratulate us, and the team is entered into the Hall of Fame, thus proving that Gary's team is actually capable of defeating the game and the Elite Four at the levels that we encounter him at. Turns out, Gary did in fact earn his victory, and it's only due to bad luck and unfortunate circumstance that he ended up with one of the shortest championship reigns in Pokemon history. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.